Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome into the final episode of the Review at Rob Show for 2024. Appreciate all of you clicking that play, coming to hang out with me. On this episode, me giving spoiler-free takes of the film Nosferatu as well. I did see Sonic 3, so I'll give some brief thoughts on that. I did a double feature. Last films I'll see in theaters more than likely for 2024. So brief thoughts on both those films as well. We got Batman news to talk about on this episode, and some horror news to talk about on this episode, man. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this. Going to talk about first Nosferatu. The film is rated R for graphic nudity. Was it graphic? It's definitely nudity, but I don't know if I'd call it graphic. I'll leave that up to the viewer. Bloody, violent content. Yes, there is bloody content in here. Violent as well, sure. And then some sexual content. Yes, there is sexual content in the film. The film runs in at 2 hours, 13 minutes and is classified as a horror film. Now, I personally would classify it more as like gothic horror. Gothic horror more than just regular horror, I think is how we go with that one. So gothic horror. And then let's see, synopsis for the film. It is by Robert Eggers. Robert Eggers' Nosferatu is there you go, gothic tale of obsession between a haunted young woman and the terrifying vampire infatuated with her, causing untold horror in its wake. All right, so Nosferatu, obviously this is a new take on the classic tale that came out in the 20s. There's 1920s film, um, and all that stuff, which I have seen, and I did enjoy the 1920s movie. That one, of course, was a silent film. Used a lot of title cards, cue cards, whatever you want to call them, title cards on the screen to let you know the things that are going on and all that stuff. Because again, silent film, so it's mostly just dependent on the actors' expressions and things of that nature for you to go with, plus whatever they were putting on the screen for you. This movie obviously is a more updated version of that with, the characters speaking the dialogue and, fleshed out scenes, stretched out scenes, more determination on things that are going on in the movie overall and all that stuff, man. So, again, spoiler free takes and all that stuff. I'm not going to spoil anything really to do with the story or the character looks. I heavily applaud the marketing team and everybody over there for the Nosferatu film that have not shown the character of Nosferatu at all. Any of the marketing, highly applaud them for that. Be careful on social media. That will probably be shown to you somewhere on there at some point. I did not run into any of those issues, but I'm sure it's out there because there are, terrible people on the internet. Nosferatu overall for me, gothic horror tale. My first big applaud for this movie, other than the marketing team of it, is the ability to capture the essence of that original 1920s film and not just capture that, but to capture the environment. Now, I'm not somebody who talks about cinematography all that much and all that stuff. I just kind of talk about the movie experience, but very beautiful film, very, very beautifully shot film. The widening, the way they put the shots together, the way they make everything blend perfectly in together, from extremely terrifying to building the next versions of the next era of the story that they're going in. They do a fantastic job. It looks great. But the big thing that I loved about this, and I highly appreciate, and kudos Robert Eggers and his team over there, is making this film feel like it was set in the time that they're portraying in the film. It's the 1800s. I don't know the exact number, but it's the 1800s, and they do great from the costumes to the dialogue. The dialogue's so freaking good. I was sitting there while watching the movie, like, I love this dialogue. The way people used to speak in the 1800s is such an interesting and beautifully romantic way of speaking, I think, and love what they were doing with all that. So love that. Next big thing to talk about here is the performances, and of course, first one we're going to talk about, we'll get to Nosferatu, but the first one we have to talk about, as far as I'm concerned, is Miss Lily Rose Depp's performance in this film. I don't know much about her. Going to the movie, the only thing I've really seen her work in was Kevin Smith's film Yoga Hosers, which, you know, um, I like the movie. Like, I have a good time with that movie, but it's just, a fun movie is the best way to go with it. You're not necessarily gonna know people's perfect example. Austin Butler is in that movie as well. Of course, Austin Butler's gone on to huge fame since that film, and we know how good of an actor he is and all that stuff. But yeah, sometimes in some certain movies, goofy or however you want to describe it, you can't really see somebody's real true acting ability. And That's the main thing I've seen Lily Rose Depp in. Of course, I know she's Johnny's daughter, but other than that, I haven't really seen her work. I know she was in some show of the weekend on HBO Max, whatever you want to call it now. I think it was called The Idol. Um, didn't watch it. Didn't really have too much interest in seeing that. I remember seeing the trailer. I'm like, okay, and then just never really got involved in it. And I heard a lot of people didn't like that show too much, or that found that show to be disgusting and horrible treatment on the show and all that stuff. I think is what's come out of this. Something came out of that show that was bad. I don't know. I kind of completely got away from that. So long story short, I don't know much of Lily's work other than yoga hosers going into this movie. She freaking blew me away, man. Like her performance, would hope that, I mean, we always around this time start talking about awards and who deserves this, who deserves that. Horror is mostly overlooked when it comes to like Oscars and stuff like that. But my God, is she just delivering a performance that needs high, high praise. Like she's killing it in a year that's been very good for horror, and we've seen some great performances. Like she definitely deserves to be in that conversation of just amazing performance from the way that she is able to make you feel everything she's going through in this movie. Like she is captivating you. Anytime she's on screen, you're like, holy crap. Like, cause she's going through it. And like she's going, if you know the story of Nosferatu, and again, we talked about it briefly in that synopsis. I don't remember exactly how they worded it, but it's untold horror, terrifying vampire with untold horror that's infatuated with her, and the story that gets those two connected and all that stuff. Like you can just see the horror and the struggle and the terror that she's going through with multiple different areas that she has to go through, be it with this freaking vampire, um, or be it with her husband or her family and just everything that's being set up around her. She's just absolutely dominating every single time that she's on the screen. Like she's absolutely dominating what she needs to do here, and she's incredible. I would hope she would win some kind of awards for it. Again, awards, how you depend on it, however you want to feel about it, it's up to you. But she definitely deserves some love for her performance. Somebody else's performance to talk about, especially coming off of the most recent unfortunate film that was Craven the Hunter. Aaron Tyler Johnson, like he's in this movie as well. He's not the main stars, of course, is Lily. Nicholas and Bill. Those are our main stars, but he's got a good role in this movie, and Tyler Johnson has a good role in this movie, and he's doing a great job as well. Like overall, the whole freaking cast is delivering these amazing performances, and it's such a strong cast, man. So again, Lily is probably the person we're getting used to with this one, unless you've seen her or heard other things. But for me, it's somebody I'm getting used to in this movie. But again, she's absolutely amazing. But her, Nicholas Holt, Bill Skarsgård, freaking William Defoe, Aaron Tyler Johnson, Ralph Ensign, freaking Emma Corrin. Everybody in this movie is fantastic. Like you're not going to get a bad performance from anybody in this movie. Like they're all just delivering that time period, delivering what they needed to do. They're getting you with their performances. They're sucking you in this whole time. Again, it's an over 2 hour long movie, and for some people that attention span is tough. But I was hooked, man. Like I was in from start to finish with this movie, from the beginning of seeing where it's all building up to where we meet Nosferatu, to where we get into, you know, the finishing pieces and how is everything going to work out in this movie. So again, as somebody who's seen the original movie, that's a good tell for some movie, that they're making a new version of. It's a good tell of the strongness of this film. Um, Nicholas Holt. I mean, what else can we say? He's a fantastic actor. I'm obviously hugely excited to see what he's going to do with Lex Luthor next year in the Superman film. But everything I've seen him in, he's been, fantastic. Like there's no doubt. Like if you see Nicholas Holt on there, like boom bang, yeah, like, he's going to be good. Obviously, same could be said with Bill Skarsgård. Bill Skarsgård, fantastic actor, especially when it comes to playing these horror characters, creatures, beings of all sorts. Like he's always doing a good job. He was awesome in freaking John Wick as well. He was in The Crow early this year. I forgot that was a movie until I just remembered it. Um, but so I have not seen that. I can't tell you if that's good or not. Um, I know the Bill Skarsgård fans, I believe, loved it, but overall, it hasn't been praised too much. So make up your own decision if you've seen that movie. I have not. I don't really have much of a desire to see it. Maybe I'll see it at some point, but also with that said, not really worried about it because I forgot it. There's a lot of movies. I was going through my list because I do plan a end of the year episode with the movies I've seen, and there's movies on that list like, oh my god, that did come out this year. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. But Bill Skarsgård, fantastic actor, and his portrayal of Nosferatu in this movie is it's good. It's very strong. I like the voice he's putting on for the character. I like the majority of the look for the character. I'm not going to spoil the look of the character, of course, but um, not overly in love with it. But that's just nitpicky. Like that doesn't hurt the movie by any means. At first, when I saw him, like that's a choice, but it still looks good. It's still terrifying me enough. Not as much as the original to me, but it's still fine enough. And it works. But again, his voice work and his ability to captivate you with the way that he either like mopes around the screen or sulks around the screen or the scariness and all that stuff. And they do some homages to the original film and the works stuff like that. Again, talking around myself, not spoiling anything, but very well done. Very well done, obviously. So overall thoughts on the movie is it's freaking good, man. Like to end the year with this movie, unfortunately, was not the movie I ended the year with. It did end the year with Sonic because I saw that right after. But Sans Ferratu, man, that's what I called it. I like this movie a lot. Like it's very well done. It's very gothic horror. It's very strongly put together. The amount of attention to detail of the time period is the main thing I love about the movie. From the looks and the dialogue, the thriller aspect is very good, keeping you on edge to see how everything goes. The captivation of Lily's performance is extremely strong. Um, Bill Skarsgård doing a great job as always. Nicholas Hoult doing a great job as always. Like I can't talk enough praise about what they decided to put together with this movie, and that's big shoes to fill. Like Nosferatu is a huge name in horror. Like that's a huge horror movie name, and it's one of those things where you get worried when they remake movie. I don't care about movies being remade. It's never bothered me that a movie gets remade. A lot of people get up in arms about it. I don't. But there is a certain thing coming with movie remakes that you are like, okay, that's big shoes to fill. That is big things to take on. You kind of worry sometimes with a newer version of a horror movie, especially with something from like the 20s, like they're gonna like go overboard with the gore and the insanity and all that stuff. But they don't do that in this movie. Like everything seems to fit the time period and fit the story very well. They didn't overly push anything at all. It all vibes and runs perfectly together, in my opinion, from every single aspect of the movie. Like there's nothing for me looking at that movie where I'm like, I didn't like this. Like I'd be nitpicky about the character look, but even with that, the character look is still good. Like it's still really good. But that's the only area I could like maybe nitpick on. Other than that, I don't really have anything to say unfortunate about Nosferatu. It's very good. Um, there are scenes in it, and it reminds me there's stuff in this movie. Well, that'll be spoiler. I don't want to talk about that. But gothic horror. If you like gothic horror, go give uh, the Last Voyage of the Demeter another try. Because not telling you anything you probably don't already know if you're a big horror head. Um, you know that Nosferatu is, very much inspired by Dracula, so much so that they got sued for how much they're inspired by Dracula. Not the movie, just the first Nosferatu film back in the day, not this one. So, if you're into gothic horror, go give The Last Demeter another try. I liked that movie a lot as well. Gothic horror, hopefully that's something that comes back. That's a good, fun vibe of horror. I like all kinds of horror movies. As you can see, I got Chucky back there. I got Michael back there. So I'm into slashers and stuff like that. But I like a psychological thriller. I like all kinds of horror, man. Like horror is my thing. Like I can watch a horror movie and be fine. I don't know what that says about me psychologically, but I can watch a horror movie and just be happy. Um, for the most part, sometimes it's like, this is tough to watch. For both versions, either really bad or just really well done. But overall, Nosferatu, extremely worth your time. Go check it out in theaters. Support that movie. It deserves the love for sure. Let's see. Mentioned briefly. Let's talk Sonic for a minute. A minute. um, normally, when I do double features, I like to break them up. Honestly, I don't have much to really go off on about Sonic 3. It was enjoyable enough. Jim Carrey is going to be the best part of that movie, and he is. But it was fine enough. I'm not the target audience, which is interesting to say because I grew up playing the Sonic video game, so I have a love for that character in that world. But I mean, obviously, the dialogue is very fit for kids' movies, and it's very much a kids' movie. While you're waiting for the movie to play, they're playing other kids' trailer films. They did play the Superman trailer, which love that. Love seeing that for the first time on the big screen. I did hear some kids say, "Oh, Superman!" So that's awesome. That movie should do well next year. Um, They played the Mission Impossible trailer as well because Paramount Pictures. So it was cool seeing that on the big screen as well. Um, but yeah, it was fun. Like it was fun enough. It got some Snickers out of me and all that stuff. Like again, these movies, even though I grew up playing the Sonic games and I'm attached to that character, like they're not necessarily made for me. Like they're child films, but they're fun enough. The action scenes were fun. Seeing Shadow was cool. Tails, Knuckles, all that stuff. That stuff's fun. Just seeing those characters is fun. Again, it's not a full nostalgia beat. I guess it's just more of a, I know those characters. I like those characters. It's fun to see them doing something out there, kind of thing. Um, and then of course they've announced Sonic 4, so there's gonna be another one of those. All those films do very well with critics and all that stuff, and they do well money wise. I know Sonic and Mufasa have been battling back and forth since both of those have come out, and I don't think Sonic's opened up across the world yet, so we don't have the full numbers. But at one point, Sonic was number one. I think Mufasa took it back over, but at one point, Sonic was number one. So the Christmas family thing got people to go see Mufasa, but overall, I mean, it's fine. It's a fine film. I mean, ending the year with those two movies was, fun. Like that was a good run there. But yeah, between the two, obviously, I don't know. I love Nosferatu the most, but both are good enough. They're fine enough. Fine enough. Nosferatu's fantastic. Go see Nosferatu. Sonic's fine enough. If you want to go see a Sonic movie, go see a Sonic movie. If you want to see any movie, go watch a movie, man. That's your choice. Go have fun. I'm a huge movie fan. I watch a lot of movies I probably shouldn't have seen in theaters this year. Again, going through that list, probably shouldn't see some of these movies in theaters, but I did, and I don't regret it, man. I love supporting movies. I love watching movies. So that's why I spend so much time watching movies. I miss so many television shows because I watch movies. Movies are the main thing I watch, other than wrestling. So I'm into it. I had a good time with Nosferatu. It was a fantastically made film. Go check it out. Give it your time. And Sonic's fun. Sonic's fun enough. So there you go. That's my quick thoughts on those two movies. Let's jump into news. As I teased before, we do have Batman news that has come out, uh, which is unfortunate news with the Batman sequel being pushed back yet again for another year to 2027. It's now be releasing in October 1st of 2027, first or second, but it's been moved to October 2027. James Gunn gave some answer to it because somebody asked him about it on Threads. Because sometimes with the DC stuff, you have to leave it with a question mark. You're like, is this really happening? Is this true or not? But somebody asked James Gunn on Threads, and he replied with the following, saying, "Quote: Sure, yes, it is true. Only reason for the delay is there isn't a full script. Those of you who follow me here probably know that already," said Gunn. Continuing on, it says that Matt is committed. This, of course, Matt Reeves, who makes the Batman films. Matt Reeves is committed to making the best film he possibly can, and no one can accurately guess exactly how long a script will take to write. Once there is a finished script, there is around 2 years of pre production, shooting, and post production on the films. So, that is the reason that is being given for why there's delay for the Batman, which makes sense. Script, obviously you want to make sure it's good enough. You don't want to rush these sequels and get them to be, because obviously the first Batman did very well received, very liked. The Penguin, most recently, very well received, very well liked. So you want to take your time and make sure you're creating something that is going to live up to the two things that have come out already in that world. Um, Coincidentally or additionally, the DCU has a Batman movie that they announced when they showed the first slate of DCU movies on the way, with Batman Brave and the Bold, and Andy Muschietti, who is announced to be directing that one, has announced that movie has also been delayed. Now, there wasn't a release date set for that movie as of yet, but that is interesting as well. That movie has been delayed, which has gone into, of course, now rumor realm. This was before even that was announced, or for either one of these movies have been announced that they were delayed. There's this huge rumor of James Gunn's gonna move the Batman into his DCU universe. Um, so it's tough because I love that Batman movie. It might be my favorite Batman movie of all time. We really write it down. It's probably the best Batman movie of him being Batman and being a Batman film of him doing detective work and all that stuff. The Dark Knight is fantastic as well, but that seems like more of a Joker movie. That's the main thing anybody really remembers about that movie. Um, but it's a very good movie. Don't get me wrong. So I I would be fine if they did that in the hypothetical sense of if they moved, like, hey, let's stop doing these Elseworlds things, because obviously Joker didn't work out. I I don't think they have anything else coming out. Maybe Teen Titans or something like that. Just maybe move that over as well. But let's just stop the Elseworlds thing because I was talking to a friend this weekend. He's even confused about it. Like let's stop that. If you can move it over, because there's been talks between James Gunn and Matt Reeves and Gunn's. They've talked about that. Gunn's talked about that. If you continue to push it back, maybe you're writing something into the script to where it makes it fit into that world. Now, they're not overly working these movies to make them forcefully fit in like they're doing over in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like every film is going to feel like its own film, and then it's in its own world, which I freaking love. No Superman movie should not look like a Batman movie. You know what I'm saying? My Superman movie should not look like a Batman movie. You can exist in the same world, but you should not all look the same, and you should not all have the same vibe because obviously that's not how that works. So if they wanted to move Batman into the DCU, I would support that. If they want to keep the Batman out there as its own Elseworlds thing until they finish that story, that's fine. Um, but now you're running into an issue of, are you going to release two Batman films that close to each other? Because if both of them have been delayed, like what are we looking at release schedule wise for these two movies? You don't want to release both of them in the same year. You don't want to release both of them that close to each other, like a year apart. So if you can move it into the DCU, cool. And you've already got an extended, world that's already been created with the Batman, so it won't be overly tough. Now the problem is Batman Brave and the Bold that was previously announced involved Robin. So Robert Pattinson, who plays Batman, I believe is around 40, close to 40. So feasibly possible to have a Robin in there somewhere. But I don't know if we need it. But yeah, that's where we're at. And of course, the rumors have now filled up even more. Like, ooh, they're working on something. Why are both of these Batman movies just all of a sudden both being announced that they're delayed? What's going on there? As the internet likes to do. So we will have to wait and see what everything comes out. Of course, I will talk about it here on the Review at Rob show. But either way, I'm excited for both of them. I love that Batman movie to death. I'm excited for what the DCU's done so far. I'm enjoying Creature Commandos. The Superman film looks fantastic. Um, I love DC, obviously, so they've got me there, but I can't explain to you that you saw my trailer reaction. Hopefully, if not, I did a trailer reaction. Please go check it out. But just the goosebumps of that movie, man. Seeing that trailer on the big screen for the first time. Oh, as soon as it came on, I threw my phone down. Because sometimes I've seen a movie trailer so many times, I'm like, I don't know if I can. I'm like, because I'm waiting for the movie, so I'm just playing around. And then I saw it was coming on, like, boom, phone thrown down on my belly, and I was in. So I, ah, but the Batman, yeah, is on delay for now. We'll see what happens. We'll have to wait and see. I part of me does hope they move it into the DCU because I would like to see that, you know, continue. But also at the same time, if I don't. And James Gunn's a creator, right? He's a director, he's a storyteller, and all that stuff. So he knows not to overly pressure the person who's working on a thing to make it fit into a thing, especially since he comes from a world where he had to do the same thing. So we'll see how it all unfolds. I don't. If this was Marvel, I would see it more as a tougher issue to move it into your extended universe. But since James Gunn's already been on record talking about how you want to keep these things to feel like their own part of the universe, I think you could do it. So we'll have to wait and see how that all unfolds. But it is very, very, very big coincidence that both of those movies were delayed at the same time. So we'll wait and see what happens there. Let's see. Anything else news-wise to talk about? Creature Commandos has been renewed for a second season. So that show has been doing very well. Again, critics have loved it. And the season, I believe, ends this week or next week. Yes, it ends on January 9th. So season one will end. And then, of course, season two has already been announced for the show. So that's awesome. Can enjoy that. I do need to catch back up. I've missed a couple weeks of the show, unfortunately, but very much excited and have enjoyed the episodes I have seen. Let's see. Talk some horror news. And then that might be it, man. Okay, horror news. All right. So Blumhouse has been known to do a lot of horror films and releasing a lot of horror movies, and they've been known to take on some classic horror films. They've been taking on these classic horror characters, and they have now announced another one to their stable, and it is another Universal monster. Blumhouse and Atomic Monster, the two that teamed up together, have announced that they are doing a Mummy film with Lee Cronin. So the Mummy, Universal Monster, classic monster, is getting a renew, awesome new film, whatever. Lee Cronin, of course, most recently did Evil Dead Rise. Cronin will write and direct the project, which is expected for April 17th, 2026. Cronin had the following to say, quote, "This will be unlike any mummy movie you have ever laid eyeballs on before. I'm digging deep into the earth to raise something very ancient and very frightening." Love that. Love that already. I'm a mummy fan, man. When it comes to Universal monsters, I do love all of them, but my two favorites are Dracula and then the Mummy, like right there. And I've enjoyed all the mummies. Go back to the original Mummy film, Boris Karloff, all the way up to the Brendan Fraser films, to even, yes, the 2017 Mummy movie. Like, I like that movie a lot. So much. That movie is so freaking much, man. I know I get a lot of hate because people are stupid, but I love that movie. There you go, right there. That's my mummy. That's my mummy. Sophia Boutella and Tom Cruise's Mummy movie. Love it. Go watch it again. You were wrong about how you feel about that movie. Just let you know. But that movie is awesome. I love that movie. Too much action. Go watch the Brendan Fraser movies again. A lot of action in those movies. But sorry. Don't want to go on a full rant, but again, your reasoning for hating that movie is stupid. Anyways, you're allowed to dislike or like any movie. I'm just saying. But I'm excited. I'm very excited about that. I liked Evil Dead Rise a lot. I like Lee Cronin's work. And, Blumhouse has done a good job, man. Like the Invisible Man movie, fan flipping tastic. The Wolfman from the trailers has got promise. The Wolfman comes out. It's probably the first big movie of next year. The third week of next year is when it comes out, the 17th. Don't really have anything until then. Like the Last Showgirl does look promising. Might check that out. But the Wolfman movie does look good. Like, so it has the promise and all that stuff. We'll see how that all works out. But um, the character we saw at Halloween Horror Nights, a lot of people kind of poo-pooed on. I don't know. I didn't see it in person, just saw pictures and all that stuff. I don't know if that was full final transformation or not. Who knows? But nonetheless, that trailer looks good. And if the trailer looks good, hopefully the movie ends up looking good. But I got enough. Blumhouse has done movies I love, man. They have Megan coming out next year on my birthday. I love me some freaking Megan. All right. So you're doing a part two to that on my birthday. Oh, perfect. I like a lot of their movies. Some of their movies I'm not a big fan of, I'll be honest, but I like a lot of their movies. And I've got enough trust in them, especially Atomic Monster. I have a lot of time. Now, with saying that, early this year, those two released Night Swim, and you know, not gonna be overly negative, all right. But needless to say, Night Swim's not high on my 2024 list. But hopefully, hopefully this is better, hopefully. But I'm excited for the Mummy, man. So that'll do it for this week's episode. If you saw Nosferatu, let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you saw Sonic, let me know your thoughts in the comments. How you feeling about the Mummy? Lee Cronin's the Mummy. How you feeling about the Batman? Is Robert Pattinson joining the DCU? Are they still staying in the Elseworlds? What's going on with the Batman? All kinds of things to talk about. And again, probably more than likely, the last episode of the year. Um, what a year 2024 has been. A lot of good movies. Loved a lot of the movies I saw this year. Had a good time going to theaters a lot this year. It's been great having the theaters back. And I just had a fun time with the show. And the evolution of the show over time. I'm coming up on an anniversary in February, I believe. Like, it's just, I love doing this show, and I hope that comes off across. I know I'm nerdy and goofy and all that stuff, but if you made it this point in the show, appreciate you highly. Appreciate you so much for listening to the show, and I hope you enjoy it as well. And if you're new here or if you've been here for a while, I appreciate the ever loving crap out of you. Um, Listening to somebody talk for a while, probably not the easiest thing in the world, but I have a good time doing the show, and I hope you're having a good time with me, just having fun talking movies. And as much of a a positive light as possible. Like there's enough negativity in the world. There's so many negative podcasts in the world, talking crap about everything. I just try to be as positive as possible. If there's something I didn't like, I'm not going to overly talk about it or anything like that. I think I try to put on a positive light here for everybody, to escape from the world. The world can be annoying, it can be tough, and be insane, and you want to watch stuff like this to be, away from it all. So if you have a good time, if you felt good while watching this show throughout the year, I appreciate you. I always like to end the show with some kind of motivation, because we all need it. We all need some like pick me ups throughout the year. So 2024 has been a positive year from so many things. We'll probably talk about it later when we get to the anniversary of the show, that's coming up. But overall, I just love doing this show, man. So appreciate you all as always hanging out with me and having a good time. Hopefully, I'm having a good time. um, and we're just gonna we're gonna keep going, man. We're keep having fun with the show. I have fun things coming. I have a new show that will be announced at some point. I have probably some video game stuff coming up on here at some point, or around with me around here. Just fun stuff planned for 2025. So hopefully you enjoy me and all those fun adventures. But I appreciate all of you again. It's not unnoticed, the people who support this show. So I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for your kindness and your generosity of watching this extremely goofy, ridiculous show. I'm not the best in the world. I don't claim to be. I just am a guy that's doing a thing that he likes to do. So appreciate all of you, and remember that you can do this too. You're important. You're capable of incredible, incredible things. Like there's so much amazing ability inside of you. So be kinder on yourself, treat yourself better, build yourself up. You're capable of incredible things. You do matter no matter what. If somebody's trying to tell you something different in the world, and if you're trying to tell that stuff in your mind to yourself and all that stuff, I know it sucks. Like I've been there plenty of times in my life. Just trust yourself. Trust the being that you are and the capability that is inside of you to achieve incredible and beautiful things that you're meant to do. Like you are capable, you matter, you are important. Trust yourself, love yourself. And as always, remember that happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if one only remembers to turn on the light. Again, this will probably be the last episode of the year. So I say to all of you, thank you for the year that 2024 has been. Can't wait to see what 2025 is going to be. Happy New Year to all of you. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay happy. Love yourself, treat yourself kind. You matter. And until next time, I appreciate you all. Talk to you next episode.